So Jose Mourinho has always been considered a very special manager. Yes, perhaps it's because he called himself that all those years ago.
I think I'm a special one.
But nevertheless, the Portuguese manager has lifted some of the best trophies that the football world has to offer. From Champions Leagues to Premier Leagues to La Liga titles, Jose Mourinho has done it all. But unfortunately, after getting sacked from Tottenham Hotspurs in 2021, he was offered the job at AS Roma. Now, of course, the special one, joining an Italian club that had not won the domestic season since 2001, a lot of football fans kind of turned their eyes and turned their heads towards him and asked whether he was still the special one, whether he still had that special spark inside of him, or whether he had lost that ambition by moving to AS Roma. But of course, in 2022, throughout his year at AS Roma, he proved a lot of people wrong. Of course, in the beginning transfer window, bringing in some talent from the Premier League such as Tammy Abraham and Rui Patricio, Jose Mourinho really started to build something special. Now, of course, in 2022, he led AS Roma to their first trophy in 14 years by winning the UEFA Conference League, of course, becoming the first ever manager to win the Champions League, Conference League and Europa League. And of course, Jose Mourinho, being the man that he is, a special one, once again, he will never let you forget that.
Respect.
Now, of course, the big question asked is this the end of Jose Mourinho winning trophies at AS Roma, or how far can he take the club? Can he take them to their first league title since 2001? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the question that we're going to be attempting to answer in today's video. Now, of course, in order for me to answer a question of such magnitude, I had to send out my full team of researchers to do some very, very heavy digging. By that, I mean I put up a community tab post on my YouTube channel asking who you guys think will win. And you guys, by some sort of surprise, seem to be really backing AS Roma to win the Italian league this season. Now, of course, although they had a very marvelous Conference League season, winning the first ever Conference League title, they had a very, very underwhelming Serie A campaign, obviously coming 6th place on the table.
What is this? What is this? For what? Why?
Only one position better than the season before. But of course, looking at them and the teams around them after this transfer window that we're busy going through, I have to say this. I believe that AS Roma, compared to the teams around them, have improved the most, where a lot of the teams around them seem to have gotten worse. Look, let me explain. Obviously, looking at them in 5th place last season was Lazio, obviously one position ahead of Roma. And so far throughout this transfer window, they've lost their main goalkeeper, they've lost some very crucial players in defense, and Lucas Leiva. Now, of course, although the transfer window has still got weeks and weeks ahead of it, and although Lazio could still replenish their team, I do believe that AS Roma at the time of recording are definitely better off. Of course, in 4th place was the likes of Juventus, who many people backed to have a serious comeback this season, but once again losing some very crucial players such as De Ligt and Chiellini, their main two centre-backs. Of course, Paul Pogba picking up an injury, losing the likes of Arthur as well, and of course losing Paulo Dybala to AS Roma. I think that AS Roma might just have the edge over Juventus this season. Once again, I know it's very controversial. Let me know what you think down below. Now, of course, ending 3rd place last season is a team that I can definitely see AS Roma overcoming this season, as it is going to be Napoli. Now, of course, Napoli lost their 3 biggest players this transfer window alone. Obviously, Koulibaly, one of the best centre-backs in the world, and of course, their main wall in defence over many, many years. Of course, they lost the club's 2 biggest goal scorers of all time, being Insigne and Mertens. As I said, Napoli's 2 top goal scorers of all time in one transfer window, and losing 3 players like that, obviously Napoli, I believe, are going to hit a serious downfall, and AS Roma could be there in a Champions League spot. In fact, I think it's almost guaranteed. Now, of course, it all goes down to, can they beat the likes of Inter and AC Milan, obviously the 2 teams to win the 2 previous league titles. Now, of course, although these players have lost some crucial names this transfer window, they have been able to rebuild, and therefore going at this point forward, it all goes down to Jose Mourinho and his tactics. Now, of course, talking about the teams around AS Roma, I believe it's probably only fair to talk about AS Roma themselves, as this video is about them, so it probably makes sense. Come on. Now, of course, looking at AS Roma throughout this transfer window, they've really been building, and they've been building in the right direction, may I add. Of course, the only major loss they've had this transfer window is the likes of Henrik Mkhitaryan, who, after many bad spells in England, has really redeemed himself at AS Roma, scoring 29 goals and 28 assists in 117 games for them. Now, of course, once again, very versatile player, can play as an attacking midfielder or even a winger on either side. Once again, although 33 years old, is a player who's been very, very good over the last few years. And of course, losing him to main competitors Inter Milan could be a major, major threat for them. But as I said, looking at that, the players that AS Roma have ended up buying this transfer window might as well have replaced that. In fact, I would say that they're better off, although they lost a player like Henrik Mkhitaryan. Getting a player like I mentioned earlier, Paulo Dybala, is a major, major plus. Of course, a player who scored 115 goals and got 48 assists in 293 games. Paulo Dybala is an absolutely lethal weapon who could have many, many years ahead of him at AS Roma. Of course, only 28 years old, could play as, once again, anywhere in that front three, or even as an attacking midfielder. I believe that Paulo Dybala is the future of AS Roma, and if you put him up front next to someone like Tammy Abraham, look, I can only see defenses shake in front of AS Roma. Of course, in front of that, we also have the likes of Celik, obviously the Turkish right back, who did win the French league title with Lille 2 seasons ago. On top of that, we have Nemanja Matic, who once again, although an aging midfielder, won countless trophies with Jose Mourinho, including Champions Leagues. And of course, on top of that, AS Roma have been heavily linked to the likes of Gini Wijnaldum, who, yes, although had a very underwhelming season with PSG, I believe that they were not using him correctly. As we know, once again, although also in his 30s, is a player that when played correctly is very lethal, showed by his time where he won Premier League and a Champions League with Liverpool. Once again, looking at these 4 signings, AS Roma have definitely pulled in the right direction, and although all of these puzzle pieces look absolutely beautiful as individuals, it all goes down to Jose Mourinho to put them together as one puzzle and make sure that the pieces fit. Now, of course, in order for Jose Mourinho to have the best possible chance of success next season, I do believe it all goes down to how he plays around with this team and what his tactics are going forward. Now, of course, as we know, Jose Mourinho is notorious for parking the bus and playing a very defensive style of football, and although not always a very attractive style of football to watch, it has proven to win trophies, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, of course, heading into the season, I do believe that Jose Mourinho has worked very, very well with the 3-4-1-2 formation, so that is what I believe Roma should stick with this time around. Of course, they could also use a 3-4-2-1 formation, just changing the front three around a tiny bit, but let's stick with the first one. I believe going forward that Jose Mourinho's best team, if they want to win the title, first of all, between the posts, it's a no-brainer. It has to be Rui Patricio. Obviously, the second most clean sheets in the league last season with 15 clean sheets. As we know, very capable goalkeeper. No other kind of topic about it, to be honest. Of course, in terms of the other 3 centre-backs in front of them, I believe they should go for the likes of Mancini, Chris Smalling, and Ibanez. Obviously, looking at these 3 centre-backs, they were the 3 main centre-backs for Roma last season and did a very, very good job. Obviously, Chris Smalling and Jose Mourinho reuniting at Roma after their Manchester United days. I never saw it becoming something this beautiful. Of course, Chris Smalling really redeeming himself, just like Mkhitaryan after leaving United at AS Roma. Of course, was man of the match in the Conference League final. Once again, it's an absolute no-brainer. Obviously, looking at the likes of Mancini, the 26-year-old centre-back is a true, really tough centre-back that takes absolutely no bullshit. Of course, I've been seeing this picture spread around everywhere online about him. Once again, a very, very crucial player, and is one of those players I'm surprised not enough people are talking about. Of course, 45 appearances for Roma last season, and I can see him being a very crucial player this time around. Now, of course, as I said, the final centre-back being the likes of Ibanez, of course, 23-year-old centre-back who had 51 appearances for Roma last season. Once again, looking at him, he's one of those defenders that can do the job in terms of attacking and defensive ability when it comes to carrying the ball up front or even doing the hard work at the back. I mean, if you look at his numbers on FBref and you compare him to other centre-backs from around the world over the last year, he is one of the top centre-backs in the entire world and has gone seriously under the radar for a lot of clubs. Now, of course, moving on to the midfield, once again, as we know, this is kind of where the magic works into most teams. What can they do from the midfield? And looking at some of the signings that Jose Mourinho has made for them, I think once again they could really improve. Obviously, in the left wing back side, we've got Spinazzola, who obviously was injured through majority of last season after picking up quite a heavy knock during the Euro 2020. But as we saw during those Euros, he was one of the most crucial players for Italy winning the trophy. Of course, if he could manage to stay fit, he probably would have been the player of the tournament. As we said, a proper left wing back who will be able to get up the pitch, will be able to contribute in terms of attack, and will be able to get back fast enough in defense. Now, of course, in terms of the right wing back side, as we know, they've used the likes of Karsdorp over the last year or two, but once again, they have gotten an improvement with the likes of Turkish 25-year-old right back Celik, who once again was part of that Lille team that won the French title. Once again, very much like the likes of Spinazzola, although maybe he doesn't have quite the same amount of quality, is one of those players that can contribute in terms of attack and get back defensively. I mean, looking at him in terms of numbers, 5.4 progressive carries per 90 minutes and 4.5 progressive passes per 90 minutes. Once again, when you've got a brilliant attack in front of you, like AS Roma does, that is going to be a brilliant fullback partnership. Now, of course, in terms of the central midfielders that I believe Roma should go for, once again, this is where they have quite a few options. I mean, I'd love, as a Manchester United fan, to say someone like Nemanja Matic, although I'm not going to end up doing that. I do believe he's been added to this team, obviously for experience and his squad depth, although quite a bit older and not the fastest player on the pitch. He is one of those who could get a beautiful pass into the box and really create something special and really threaten the attack. But of course, I've gone for the likes of Wijnaldum along with Cristante. Obviously, looking at Gini Wijnaldum, as I mentioned a tiny bit earlier, seems to be on his way to Roma from PSG after a very underwhelming season. But once again, I believe that PSG have used them all too wrong. As we know, PSG in terms of scoring goals and their attacking ability rely quite a bit on the front three in the team, where if you look at a player like Gini Wijnaldum, can set up the right amount of chances, and looking at his time at Liverpool, bar his first ever season there, has never really been a talisman in terms of his attacking numbers. But of course, when he is able to contribute to attack and he is played in attacking positions, he really can make the difference, and he's quite a magician on the ball. As we know, is one of those players who's got brilliant spatial awareness and really knows how to get the ball from defense to attacking areas. Once again, if you could put a player like him next to Cristante in the midfield, I believe that will make a world of difference. Obviously, looking at Cristante, one of the main midfielders for Italy at the moment, is one of those players who has got a bit of pace on him, although not one of the best headers in the game at the moment, is a very tall, very physical player, and is one of those players who will definitely win the ball in defensive areas and will be able to get it up front. Therefore, once again, putting him next to someone Wijnaldum only makes 100% sense. Now, of course, in terms of the attacking midfielder, once again, this might be the most underrated attacking midfielder in the world, as it has to be Lorenzo Pellegrini. Now, of course, looking at Pellegrini, of course, came through the AS Roma academy, spent 2 years away at Sassuolo, but has spent majority of career at Roma, and of course they consider him one of their own. Of course, the captain of this club, I was not going to leave him out. Of course, lifted AS Roma's trophy, their first trophy in 14 years. Once again, looking at him, is a player that I just can't miss out on. 9 goals and 5 assists last season. Once again, if you put a player like him under 2 strikers, I can promise you that he will be seen as one of the best attacking midfielders in the world. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to, once again, the juicy part, the 2 strikers that I put ahead of him. Obviously, I've gone for the likes of Paulo Dybala and Tammy Abraham. Now, once again, Paulo Dybala can play as an attacking midfielder, so if you wanted to move him slightly down and replace him with Pellegrini and end up putting Zaniolo up front, the player who scored the Conference League final winner, once again, I could totally see that happening. But of course, for this time around, we're going to stick with Dybala up front. Now, once again, I spoke about Dybala earlier in terms of how brilliant he has been for Juventus. Once again, a very, very fast, very, very tactically good player. If you put him next to someone like Tammy Abraham and you get them to work off of each other, once again, you might have one of the best strike partnerships in the world. Paulo Dybala to AS Roma for free might just be the deal of the century. Now, of course, look at the likes of Tammy Abraham, of course, moving from Chelsea, where lots of people kind of doubted, and I'm going to say this, underestimated him. He has proven that he's one of the best strikers in the world, scoring 17 goals in the league last season, and I mean throughout his career, 151 goals in 318 games throughout his career. People underestimate Tammy Abraham way too much. There's never been a single season where I've doubted him. Obviously, even in the season when he was at Chelsea with Timo Werner, and obviously he only scored 6 goals that season, the same amount as Timo Werner with less minutes played. I've brought that stat up quite a few times on this channel before, but it's only because I really want to highlight how underestimated Tammy Abraham is. Obviously, he has been linked to Premier League returns, but he has stated that he is very, very happy at Roma and he wishes to stay, which once again, looking at this team as a whole, really highlights why Jose Mourinho is still special. Obviously, he is brilliant with man management. As I said, with Tammy Abraham, has made Tammy Abraham very, very happy and knows how to get the best out of him, even in terms of his connection to the club as a whole. There was obviously that story with Felix Ifenya Ghayan, obviously the Ghanaian player, who didn't have proper boots, and Jose Mourinho went out of his way to go buy him. Once again, Jose Mourinho, whether he's still the special one, obviously you guys can have your different opinions down below, but I believe that his future with AS Roma can only get brighter, and I possibly see a league title coming his way. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today's video. I hope that you have enjoyed, and I want you to put down in the comment section down below, do you think Jose Mourinho will win the league title with AS Roma, or do you think it's all a tiny bit of a honeymoon, kind of honeymoon period? Of course, guys, let me know in the comment section down below. Of course, if you did enjoy this video and you're not subscribed for whatever reason, make sure that you subscribe down below for more football content like this, along with hitting the like button. Can we please get, let's say, 20 likes on this video? Guys, this has been fun. FYNN, consider me the special one. I don't know what that means. Cheers.